Word. I think I'm on
We
Messenger
are
right now.
live. We are live. This is Emil Fisher with another episode of the BCTL podcast. John, hold on one second. I'm going to go ahead and send you that link for today's
Word.
episode. So for anybody that doesn't know, with me today, I've got the inimitable John Combs. Now, to me, John is a fascinating individual because he really embodies kind of a new generation of American jiu-jitsu practitioners. Like, I feel like you are part of this newer generation that really embrace the wrestling grind as part of the jiu-jitsu grind, if that makes any sense for people. So I think that's really kind of interesting. How did you get started with grappling, John? How old were you? Give me a bit of your background.
Word. Thank you for having me, Emil. Looking forward to our discussion. I'm sure this will be lots of interesting things back and forth. I started back in high school. I did not have any real athletic exposure. I did like a season of baseball, soccer, did a little gymnastics. Like I did a little bit of everything, nothing stuck. I was 14. My mom figured I needed to do something else besides just video games and suggested that I join the wrestling's summer conditioning program in 2005 and, started wrestling over the summer. Thought it was pretty interesting time, stuck with it. I was the worst kid on my team, and that continued even through the next year. But started grappling then in terms of wrestling, and didn't really start jiu-jitsu until my junior year of high school. I dabbled a little bit, and then around the summer in between my freshman and sophomore year, I did a lot of jiu-jitsu starting then. That was 2010.
Have you always been with Easton?
I started with this individual, Alan Zabrowski. The name of his academy was Z-Force out in LA. Just kind of dabbled, in 2007 a little bit, and then summer of 2010, that was when I started to train. As you said, the wrestling grind, just about every day. There we go. So I started to train just about every day around. And that was when I really started to love jiu-jitsu. It was great, Emil. I was getting submitted 40 times a day because they would actually let me train. I would just get choked, and the gi would destroy me, and I hated it at the same time. I had such a big attitude too back. Like I like to talk a little bit, and people enjoy put me down, and it was an interesting time to be the nail, and you definitely appreciated that. But dude, after a summer, I grew a lot, man. For about 2 months there, I was doing jiu-jitsu every day, sometimes twice a day over the summer. And, led to my love of the sport, and finished up 2 years of wrestling after that in college, and then from there committed full time with Easton Training Center. I did finish up my degree, but in 2012, after my after I wrestled at nationals for wrestling, I kind of fully committed to jiu-jitsu from there. I stopped competing in wrestling at that point. Just fully committed to jiu-jitsu from there, and been enjoying it ever since. And how about you? When did you start, Emil?
I started in 1999.
Wow.
That was my
jiu-jitsu?
first. Yeah.
Woo!
I did my first jiu-jitsu class 99. I was 14 years old, and took a lot of time off. It was one of those things where I never really took it too seriously until about 2011. 2011, I actually put the gi on, started actually training. Up until that point, I would kind of jump into the college that I was going to had a jiu-jitsu club, and I'd drop in there sometimes. I didn't really take it seriously, but it sounds like you really, especially over the past maybe 5 years or so, you've really kind of come into your own as a competitor. At what point did you go from you were good, you were always good, but at what point did you kind of become one of these elite guys?
So it happens with you watch it with younger guys coming up. That it happens explosively, and probably the best example is Roberto Jimenez, right? He just freaking exploded. Couldn't imagine a more explosive way to come out, and that's I have a theory that the rate of growth in grappling changes a lot for people, and certain individuals are able to get into areas where they have really insane accelerations, a very high rate of progress with their jujitsu, and they're able to maintain that over a long period of time. And that's why you see some people like the Rotolos, they're able to learn vast amounts of information, like maybe more than I've learned, but probably more than I learned. And I was in just a really small amount of time. Like they're able to keep this insane rate of progress, and I think that's the magic of really high level instruction, and the means of becoming a really successful competitor is if you're able to get your body into that state where you're able to maintain 2-3 practices a day, or have to be live training, but you're pushing your body and your mind that perfect little red zone where you're kind of maxing everything out and improving at the same rate. And I think I see a lot of people coming up. And so for me, I was just kind of tough. I was a tough blue belt. I was a tough purple belt. And then in 2014, I got third at Worlds at purple belt. Yeah. And that was kind of my first real kind of like moment where I, kind of was like, oh, wow, I'm doing pretty good at this. And then focused on school for a little bit, hopped back in for a little bit more jiu-jitsu. And in 2015, got third at Pan Am's, third at Worlds. And after those two tournaments, I had some good matches with like Gabriel Argus and a few other notable competitors that are still on the scene today. And, in 2015, so I was good in 2015. Like I said, I didn't win anything big, but, I'd done well. And in between Worlds of 2015 and Pan Am's of 2016, that time period was when I achieved that kind of crazy growth. And, I probably grew more as a grappler over those 8 months than just about any other time. And, I look back on what I was doing then, and, I was kind of focusing in on school, and I wasn't even training too much jiu-jitsu in that time, honestly, which is kind of weird now that I look back on it. That was some of the most explosive growth I've ever had, and I wasn't really training then. But yeah, that would be the time when I changed most, because from Worlds of 2015 to the first fight to win, which was in November, I won by guillotine. And that was probably my big standout moment. And that was when I was kind of like, okay, here we go. And 2016 came around, won Pan Am's at brown belt. And still to this day, that is, the ADCC trials is probably an argument that's maybe a bigger win, black belt or not, but winning Pan Am's, that was kind of the big step for me. Then it's sort of like I reached a tier then that I've kind of stayed at ever since. That was probably my high water achievement, I would say, to some point. And that was kind of when things started to change a bit for me, because I basically started to get a guillotine that I could hit on almost anybody, but I just lacked skills in almost every other area. Like I had good wrestling, okay passing, a really nasty guillotine, no real guard game to speak of. I had a lot of holes in my game, and still do today. As you well know, legs.
I mean, it's funny because you also have a good back game.
Oh yeah, with that, and that's from the gym. It's from Easton's. Like Amal has always been very particular about maintaining good, solid back attacks and passing. Those are the two areas I excel at the most, and probably due to my lineage.
Yeah, it's like, so it's interesting that you mentioned, because like, I've been watching you pretty much ever since we were on Fight to Win together back in 2017.
Cleveland. My foot my leg was so messed up after that.
Lots of happened. Andres is a tough motherfucker.
Oh my God. Do you remember me not tapping to that knee bar?
Yeah.
Oh, dude. I remember feeling it and then watching it right after, and it looked so different than it felt. Like it felt like I had a chance, that there was some way I could maybe get out of that knee bar. And then I watch it and it was like, ugh.
What's funny is honestly, I think that like if you trained with someone like Josh LeDuc, or even with me for like maybe a couple of months, you could have theoretically gotten out of it. You didn't have the mechanics at that point.
No, I mean, it was similar to with what's his face, Taza, the guy just beat me, right? Like I got put in a leg entanglement and I needed to react appropriately. And I'm pretty sure against Andres, I was just trying to roll, kind of the same thing I was trying against Taza, instead of looking to attack his own feet, right? Like I should have been looking to fight against his feet. But definitely trying to improve my leg game, man. I'm definitely tearing people apart here with it. It's been a lot of fun using Josh's techniques and the way he describes things, and I really appreciate what I learned. and trying to share however I can here. Have you? I actually have to offer you some thanks. You remember when you posted about those mats, the purple mats that you use?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one. They're great.
Aren't they?
Yeah, they're great, and I actually like them so much. I've got 2 more on the way. They're going to be blue, and so I have a black mat, a gray mat, a blue mat. Soon I'll have 2 blue mats. Now I have a purple mat. I just need to get like a brown towel and maybe like a white handkerchief or something and hang it. And then I'll have all 5 colors that I need for a jiu-jitsu school. But I'm excited, man. I've got quite a bit of mat space in my place.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So it's funny because like I've seen those mats online a bunch, and I've seen people post about them that they're really good mats.
I'm just gonna turn the light on.
That's fine. So I've seen these mats online, and when this all started, and like I wanted to start teaching my wife jiu-jitsu because that's a good way to use some of the spare time. I told her about them, and they're not expensive. They're like you get a decent length of mat for like $80.
Yeah, no, I was surprised to see that, man. You can grapple, and you can't necessarily go like crazy live training wrestling on it, but
no, you can't stand because there's that gap.
Yeah,
but in theory, you could put a piece of tape over the gap, and you'd be fine.
Yeah,
just buy a piece of mat tape, put it over that, and you'll be fine. Really.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one thing that I think is really interesting about you, and I think that it's unusual. Well, it's not as unusual anymore, but it's historically unusual, is that for as elite of a competitor as you are, you're always trying to learn. You're always trying to pick up new information new information that's new to you. Like the fact that you would go to someone like Josh LeDuc and pick up new information from him. Or even when you rolled with me, like you were, it was very much an exploratory experience for you. Like you were interested in figuring stuff out. How did you have to develop that mindset? Was that something that came naturally to you? Was that something that like you had to kind of work on?
You nail on the head. Absolutely. That was something that I had to work on, man. We're all really stubborn creatures, right? We always want to imagine that our way is the best way. And during that time where I had explosive growth, I definitely thought my way was my way. And I received information from the universe that maybe it was, especially after that 2016, like my ego was kind of at its peak. Things were going pretty well. And then 2017, 2018, both kind of taught me, some lessons to, you kind of got to open yourself up. You understand you probably don't understand, of any part of my game. I'm sure I can learn things about the guillotine, like Marcel Garcia dropped a video on the guillotine. I'd like to go take a look at that and see what I can learn from that. But it was definitely learned just from a lot of hard losses, since when I started this when I was 14. It's been a lot of hard defeats, and, it's just kind of keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's craziness. And, I just kind of decided the only way to really get better at this, to exceed my limits, not just like reach potential, but exceed that I would need to open myself up to all the information that's out there, and especially with just how much information is out there. It's just impossible for any one person to have all of the information together. I think that's maybe one thing that makes Gordon Ryan so weird, is that he's just got the answers to every problem. Yeah. Like that. What do you think about that?
I think that Gordon Ryan has done a great job of building a very well-rounded game. I'd be interested in seeing how a third match against Felipe Pena would go. I think that there are people that provide challenges that Gordon doesn't necessarily have the answer to, like his match against Vinny Magalhães. He's lost matches. Like there have been matches that he has lost, and I think that it's important to acknowledge that. It's important to see that. Now, that being said, I do think that Gordon is, currently the best no-gi grappler on the planet at this moment. But I'm very interested to see what the answer to the Gordon Ryan equation is.
Well, I got a small theory behind that. You listen to Tom DeBlas talk about Gordon. He is not the most athletic character, which is really weird that he dominates as much as he does because he's not that athletic. He doesn't do explosive jumps or anything. He's big and he's strong. He just makes good decisions. He doesn't explode into anything. He's just got a slow, methodical game. And I think more than like if you were to make like a character skill bar. I'm talking about like a video game.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
his like knowledge would be off the roof. His strength would be off the roof. But like all his other stats, like speed, agility, everything else would be pretty normal. He's not some freak of nature athlete outside of the fact that he's very strong, and that's something that his own coach Tom has pointed out. And I think that somebody that could take good advantage and would have like Philippe does, the athleticism advantage and the ability to keep up with him in the knowledge book as well. So I could see Philippe being an excellent matchup for him. Apart from that, though, who else do you think? Well, I guess Craig Jones, but they don't. Yeah. What do you think of Wagner?
they're friends now.
Yes, exactly. What do you think of Wagner versus Craig Jones?
I think that Wagner has not looked as good as he did in the past in recent matches. Like, I think that his performance against Ty Rotolo, I think it was, at Fight to Win, I think that was lackluster. And I think that Ty Rotolo, should not have been able to beat him in that match. That being said, Wagner's a savage, so like you can't count Wagner out. I really like Wagner, like as a competitor. I like watching him because I appreciate a degree of savagery and roughness mixed into jiu-jitsu that culturally is not accepted at most in many communities. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Wagner's record as of late, I mean, he subbed one guy in the first round of ADCC. And then, like, he really hasn't looked spectacular. His performance against Ben Henderson at Polaris was impressive.
Well, I'll throw one in there.
That was an impressive performance, but I feel like Wagner is going to kind of fall into that, like, lower tier elite competitor status as time progresses. If that makes any sense.
Well, I mean, it's all, how much does his father time affect him? I think he's 39 now. If he's able, some people can do better than others. I mean, look, I'm sure. There are plenty of athletes. They're not too like I know plenty of guys that were born in like 1983 that are still on top of it, physical specimens. Like Hamilo Bahal and Lobato, both those guys. But it's just a question of how much is that going to affect him. And against Craig, I just don't know if he has the footlock answer. But I did watch him fight at last Substars. Did you catch that event? The stream that Leduc was running.
I did not.
Well, he had a match on that, and dude, he looked good. He did a lot of good hand fighting on the feet. He was fighting an MMA fighter. He had a good match, and I think eventually he got a submission.
No, he won. He won by points.
Oh, he won by points. Okay.
Yeah, I have his BJJ Heroes record up in front of me, just to lend some context to the conversation.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing.
What was the score, if you don't mind me asking?
It doesn't say.
Oh, okay. Well, he did look good out there. I think he's got some solid skills, but man, Craig's gonna sit on his butt. You're gonna go in his half guard, and that's that's his A game, and that's the problem with those leg lockers like yourself is you just start right in like the chessboard set in the game you prefer.
Yeah, I think that if he's able to take it to overtime, Wagner has a chance of winning.
Dude, 5 minutes in that cage is a long time. That's a long time.
But it's only 5 minutes. He survived for longer against better.
Yeah.
Like he he had that match against Gary Tonin in ADCC that he won. I think that Tonin might actually be as good or better than Craig Jones.
I would agree with that. Absolutely.
Monster. He's beaten Tonin. He's done very well against Gordon Ryan. I think he might have actually, he beat Craig Jones back at
Really?
EBI 11 in 2017.
Wow.
He beat Craig Jones in overtime.
Well, there you go. This is a really exciting fight.
Talking shit. It was funny. They were like talking shit a little bit. They were having a good time.
Damn.
He's beating them. So it's an interesting. If he can survive to overtime, I think that Wagner wins. But that's a big if.
Yeah.
Because Craig has really evolved. I mean, shit, dude. He actually went to a draw against Gordon Ryan back in 2016 at Zapatero.
Wait, what did he do?
He went to a draw against Gordon Ryan.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he's not bad.
Yeah.
He's not bad. I think that Craig Jones's recent tear is going to be a problem potentially. Like the way that Craig Jones has been approaching matches lately, I think he's been really killing it lately.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's got unkillable spirit, man.
Yeah, for sure. So are there any matches that you want to get over the next, once things come back? Are there any specific matches that you're looking for?
Yeah, I just got hit up by, nothing's confirmed, no dates, none of that. But Jits King, huh?
I understand.
Oh, yeah, but Jits King is, there's an event that's running a 185-pound division that has killers in it, and that's coming up soon. But apart from that, like specific people that I'd like to compete against, Canuto would, that was somebody that I called out, and I still think that he's in that right, the no-gi ladder. I think he makes a lot of sense. At some point I'd like to do another Kasai, and they talked about wanting me to go with. He trains at Marcelo Garcia's. He's done a lot of the Kasai's, Matthias Lutz, I think, some of that nature.
Oh, yeah. He's a bit bigger than you, I think. He's a bit bigger than you. He's a thick boy.
Yeah, big dude. But that's who they want me to have a match with, and so that's who I will suspect with Kasai. I'll go have a matchup with him.
That's an interesting match for you because he's not. I feel like for you, when you're going with another points fighter, you tend to finish them. Like you're a good points fighter, but like when it's you versus another points fighter, you have a pretty high finishing rate.
Yeah, that's actually a very good point.
Like I've watched you compete, and it's like when you're going against somebody that looks for the finish constantly, I feel like that's when you sometimes run into your problems. But I think that when you're going against like a fellow elite points player, that's when you really shine. Because you're able to kind of take that aggression level a notch higher than they're comfortable with. We got a question from Christian O'Brien. Christian asking what you think about Gordon trying to beef with Lucas Lepre.
I saw this happen. So I only know a few things of the situation. I don't want to say too much, in all honesty. I respect both of them, but all that I know is I'm pretty sure Lucas posted somewhere something in terms of him wanting to have a match with Gordon or something of that nature, and talking some crap to him a little bit, which people should probably talk more crap to Gordon. He is pretty funny when you talk crap to him, so probably a good thing for us to keep doing. And then from there, I think Gordon actually took the offer seriously and was like, well, okay, let's have a match. And then it sounds like, Lucas turned it down. And that, as far as I can tell, that's what happened. That's my, opinion on it is, I would prefer not to see people, talking smack back and forth, but that, it's kind of how the event went down. It sounds like Lucas called Gordon out. And then, when the matchup was made available, he decided not to. Do
you think that Lucas would have a chance against Gordon?
No-gi submission only.
Yeah.
And if points involved, yes, absolutely. His positioning. If it's submission only, no time limit, I mean, dude, you're going to get leg locked eventually. I mean, in a point scenario, I could see him doing really well in submission only. I mean, if he could pass his guard, get to his back, I mean, like he did against Lachlan, I could see that. But I mean, even Lachlan said he just wasn't really expecting Lucas's passing to be that good. So who knows? I would love to see that match. I think all of us would. But I mean, in my opinion, I think Lucas has a chance against absolutely anybody on the planet. I mean, he's done things in jiu-jitsu that very, very, very few people in history will ever be able to say they've done. So I think he's got a chance in any match against anybody.
Have you ever seen
Gordon
his match?
Ryan.
Have you ever seen his match in the gi against Cyborg?
Abreu? No, I haven't.
Dude, Lucas Lepre had a match against Cyborg Abreu in the gi, and he fucking took it to him, and he beat him.
Yeah.
He
beat him.
Yeah, he outpointed Cyborg in the gi.
Damn. Well, have you seen my no-gi? You seen my no-gi match against Cyborg?
I saw pictures of it when I was looking for pictures for the ad for today. What happened?
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's on YouTube. Yeah, it's a good fight. I was up 2-0 for quite a bit of it. I actually swept him with X guard, and then couldn't really quite. I'm pretty sure he got a sweep or 2 points, and then I had an advantage. And then in the last minute, he shot a single. I poorly defended. He got behind, got a body lock. And then, dude, it was like somebody strapped a rocket onto me, and I just went, and then, slammed back down to the earth. And, I saw, Tweety birds and everything. It was, yeah, that was a rough 2 points. And then I ended up losing 4-2. But it was a good fight, man. I took it to him. And I think he had a heart attack halfway through. So that was probably an interfering factor in my performance.
That's fucking respectable, man. That's a respectable. Yeah. I mean, really, I'd say your biggest win is probably over Marcos Tinoco.
Yes, I mean, looking at everything I've done. Yeah, I would say so. I mean, yeah, especially in my weight class.
As far as opponents that you've actually beaten, I mean, him.
Yeah, him and Asaki. Those would be the two that are the most. And those were also those were 3 years ago now, man. So, I mean, the ADCC trials is the big recent win, and obviously the no-gi stuff I was doing at the beginning of the year. But yeah, time to do more no-gi stuff, baby.
Yeah, what do you think of these? So there's all these different rule sets popping up, and I've heard some really mixed opinions on it. I've heard some people that are like, "Oh, it's great for the sport," and then I've heard people that feel like there should be one rule set, and that's the best way to professionalize the sport. What do you think, being a professional competitor?
Excuse me. I would I think Josh talked about this too, that there are kind of 3 ways that we try to determine grappling in terms of specific rule sets, like ADCC, EBI, and IBJJF. So there's pure points, there's point submission, and there's pure submission. And those 3 categories can kind of roughly sort of govern everything. And then each individual organization usually has its own specific rules. Jits King doesn't allow slamming. Fight to Win does. There's certain other things like
allow it or something. Didn't they start out allowing it and then somebody got hurt or something like that?
No, yeah, but they don't allow it now. Is the point? But yes, that did happen, and now they've taken care of that. And yeah, but they're just certain. Every association has their own little things, but I think those 3 different rule sets kind of come close to the government. Like Kasai goes with the IBJJF format. That's points with no advantages, and to that end. And I think those 3 kind of roughly govern in terms of which one would be my favorite. It's probably, I think, in terms of my style. I think ADCC is probably the best for me. I bet for you as well, given your love of the heel hook side. My wrestling is where I'd say my best rule set is the ADCC.
I haven't actually competed in ADCC rules yet. And the plan was that I was going to use my preparation for the Zapatero that you and I were supposed to be on.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to be on the 185-pound bracket, and then I was going to be going for their world catch wrestling title. So the plan was to use that as my kind of launch pad to prepare for ADCC. And then all this shit happened. And now I'm wondering whether or not ADCC trials are even going to happen.
I mean, it's Tom who's running them. I guarantee you they're going to happen. If Tom DeBlas is the guy running it, it's going to happen. So I would feel confident. I'm still in my mind getting ready for it. I mean, that is going to be a disgust. Every one of those brackets is going to be disgusting. I mean, I know even Tom talked about in terms of who wins the women's bracket there. He's gonna you only get one ticket for the females, but he will provide a plane ticket and lodging for whoever wins the East Coast trial for the West Coast trial. So I thought that was admirable of him doing that. But I would say 99.9% chance the East Coast trials are going to happen. So I'm gearing up for that. The West Coast, who knows, because California isn't going to allow anything until 2021. So they may well do the West Coast trial somewhere else, maybe Vegas. Who knows? But I feel much more confident about the East Coast trials than I do the West Coast.
Yeah, I don't like any of it. And honestly, for me, I'm doing my best to like stay in shape. And honestly, I don't think
it's tough.
Enough. But it's been fucking horrendous. It's been absolutely horrendous.
Oh, dude, my diet, I can't even believe it. Sorry for interrupting, but it's terrible. Terrible. So much fast food. How about you?
I've been trying. So because I have my job, I've been trying to like stick with like an intermittent fasting diet and like, be smart about what I'm eating. I'll have the occasional bit of junk food, but like I'm trying to really, I eat a very high carb diet because I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I eat a very high carb diet. So I don't have the greatest diet as it is, but I have a lot of energy. I don't really get tired. Like, I guess that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's very, very difficult to do high protein, high fat when you're just doing vegetables. I mean, dude, like most of what is high protein, high fat is like meat and cheese. The easiest way to do it.
Mm-hmm. I eat a lot of peas.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, avocados and eggs are another way of doing it that are pretty easy, but avocados are hard. Usually that's why I was doing walnuts and eggs there for a bit. That was good.
Walnuts and eggs, you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, walnuts, eggs, and then some spinach.
Yeah,
why walnuts?
Yeah.
They have very good I believe it's polyunsaturated fat. I want to say it's the fat that's in walnuts specifically is very healthy for you, and I try to maintain like you're saying I try to not have any carbs before noon. So if I'm going to have a breakfast, it's usually going to be something like eggs, maybe some meat. You not typically. It's like some eggs, spinach, and then walnuts or avocado. So that type of a thing where there's like some quality protein. I'm sorry, so some decent protein, but plant fiber and fats. That's what I'm really going for in that early part of the day.
Yeah, I make a smoothie for myself every morning. Mm-hmm. And the smoothie, what I'm doing is I'm doing a cup of kale.
Nice.
A cup of broccoli. Then a mixture of like berries and I think I have some pineapples, some peaches, some mango. And then I load it up with a bunch of greens. Like I have like this like spirulina and chlorella mix for immunity support, and like a green antioxidant mix. And then I throw almonds, carrot juice, and coconut water. And that's how I cut it. Like that's how I get it down to like a liquid.
Nice. Dude, that sounds delicious.
Yeah, like it's a big one. It's a big one every fucking day. Like it's like probably about like it's about 75% of a Vitamix blender.
Yeah.
Full.
I was about to ask if you supported your city and got a Vitamix.
Well, it's funny. So I didn't even realize they were made in Cleveland until we bought one.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't realize until my uncle, who was from Painesville, he got my sister's wedding. He got my sister a Vitamix, and he was like, "Much like your sister, John, here's another great product from Cleveland," and he gave him the Vitamix. Yeah.
So I know you're originally from Shaker Heights. You told me you were from over near Shaker Heights High School.
Yes, I was. Fernway Elementary was like within a block and a half. Yeah, on the older side, I believe. Yes.
Yeah. That's funny, man. I went there. I went to Shaker High School, but I lived on the other side of town. I live on the other side of town. I still live not far from the house that I grew up in.
Oh, so you're close to where I was, man, 25 years ago or whatever it was? Man, that's crazy.
I'm not far. I'm probably about a 15-minute drive from your childhood home.
Wow. What's the weather like there?
What's that?
What's the weather like?
Today was nice. It was very sunny and in like the 50s, the
Nice.
50s.
Nice. Not
I
bad.
mean, it wasn't a bad day. But the weather has been kind of shit lately. And honestly, for me, if the weather wasn't as shit as it is, this whole thing would be much easier. Like,
I
I
hear
feel
you.
like I feel like a big part of what makes this whole COVID-19 thing so difficult for me personally is the fact that like I can't go to the gym and I spend 2 to 3 hours a day at the gym and I can't be outside. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. No, and it's hard to, replace those external forces with internal forces to get things done you were getting done. It's very difficult.
Yeah. We'll see. I just applied for like every single fight to win that's coming up.
Oh, great. Yeah, that just got dropped. I need to send in my apps. Let me pull that up on my phone actually. I would love to go to Austin, man. That would be amazing.
Hey man, I hope we see each other there. How about that?
Yeah, so it's Dallas and Austin. So are there 2 events in Dallas and then 1 in Austin? That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't fully understand how they're doing the schedule, and I know, like when I had Seth on this, he was talking about how he has like a special secret plan that he wants to do and all this good shit. So here's a question for you, because you were on what, the first fight to win, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're kind of a staple for fight to win. Like you're one of their probably. No.
I mean, I love Fight to Win. Like I've gone to train with Team No Sleep. I love all of them.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
How many fights 11, but my last Fight to Win was May 30th of 2018. So it's been almost 2 years since I've competed with Fight to Win.
Why has it been so long?
Events fell through. Like last October, I had signed up to compete with them. We got an injury that fell through. I'd signed up to compete with them last July. That I got injured. That was actually against Cody Steele, and I got injured, and that fell through. Was looking forward to facing him then too. It just actually being DJ Jackson. And then it's just things where I was busy. I've spent a lot of 2018 injured, a lot of 2017 injured, and it just kind of never really worked out, man. It was a shame because I definitely loved competing with them, loved the crew, and just kind of drift away a little bit. But hopefully I can get on and start competing with them again because definitely love Seth and love that team.
Yeah. How important has Fight to Win been to your growth as a competitor?
It definitely led me down a path I would not have gone down otherwise in terms of, because that first win in Fight to Win, kind of opened up a door, so to say, and I didn't really know what was in that hallway that I was about to walk into. And looking at the past 5 years, I would say that it was the right call, just out of the adventures I got to go on and all the other crazy stuff. But definitely, by and large, was led to some tough hardships. But all in all, definitely glad that I made the call and committed in. But it definitely, Fight to Win was the opening in terms of making money. Was the big thing that it sort of opened my eyes that you can do this and make money with jiu-jitsu, which is Seth has done and opened up, and then him doing his event spawned everything else, and all this professional jiu-jitsu only exists because of what Seth Daniels was able to do. He was able to make it a profitable venture, and other people saw that it could be done. They copied it. So grateful for Seth and everybody that's doing it.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's so funny because, like, if you look at what Fight to Win does for the competitors, as far as like giving the competitors this high stress, high altitude, opportunity to like really shine on that stage. Like I look at guys like Jeremiah Vance and Marvin Castell, or even like, I feel like myself, having competed on Fight to Win, there's something about competing on that stage and doing well that makes competing on other stages or other mats a little bit easier.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like when I went from, I competed in Copa Podio in 2016, And I remember looking at the mat that they had set up, and it was an amazing event, like up in like a beautiful cathedral, not cathedral, church. I remember just thinking, okay, I've already done this before. I've been on the mat underneath the light and everything else. I'm ready for this. I have experience, and I would have approached that situation far differently had I had already enjoyed the experience of doing that thanks to Fight to Win.
Yeah.
So I owe them a lot.
Now, how are you different in competition from training?
I was definitely a lot less different, in 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18, probably halfway through black belt, when I started to accumulate some injuries and lose a lot. That was kind of the stuff that really kind of brought that mindset change in me about where I started to become much more exploratory. And that was, wait, could you repeat the question? I apologize.
You're answering it. I was asking how your mindset is different in competition from training.
Yeah, this is actually something I'm going to be talking to another guy tomorrow. Forget the name of this podcast. Well, I'll look it up and I'll mention him again. I'm sure you've heard of his BJJ mental game. I don't know. But definitely back then I was just kind of a bruiser. I was a tough grappler and tough competitor, and I just kind of would hit the same passes in practice that I would in training. And that changed a lot as I started to become a bit more exploratory, and mainly in that I started to play guard a lot more frequently in live training. Like I used to just look for takedowns, start up top. I'd always be passing, 99% of the time. And recently I start playing guard about 80 to 90% of the time. Then I end up on top after with the sweep, but that would be the big change recently. And definitely in competition, I'm not looking to really use my guard at all. I don't really in most situations want to be on bottom. There are definitely some fights where I should have looked to get to the bottom, but by and large, that's just not a tool in my kit yet. But definitely, kind of change the two up, much more exploratory when training. But when I go to compete, it's definitely a different set of goals that I got to compete, that I have to accomplish in terms of, breaking another person's will rather than just trying to improve myself. I mean, obviously we compete to see the holes in our game, but at the same time, you've got to smash in competition, man. Got to bring at least that's my attitude that I bring.
Well, it's just the reason I asked this question specifically of you is because for me, one of my objectives is to make my competitive, like the way I compete, as exploratory as possible, and to have as much fun with it as possible. Yeah.
You're very unique in that. Your walkout show that.
I feel like if I'm trying to smash my opponent, I don't have as much fun.
Well, and I can see with your game especially. We've only rolled once, which is a shame. I wish we rolled more than that. But you're definitely an erratic wizard that plays on the edges, and you set up little traps for people. And I think you're at your best when you're just flowing through, having fun, and doing these weird things. And I think your biggest weapon is just you frustrate people.
Yeah.
But
it's like, but again, I feel like it all comes down to the fact that, like, I don't have any interest in beating them. Beating them just happens to be a secondary effect. Like it kind of just happens. And I'm not there to beat them. I'm there to fuck around, and then they beat themselves.
That is really weird, Emil. I definitely go out with every intention of trying to, fully dominate my opponent and, take something from them.
I've only done that a handful of times. Most recently, did you get to roll with Werther when you were at Josh's gym?
Yeah, he's good.
He's a nasty fucker.
Yeah.
So I had a match against Werther at Josh's Battle for the Axe event that weekend that I was down there, and we were supposed to try to hang out, but we kind of, missed each other's like two ships in the night. So I had a match against Werther, and like I really like Werther. I just like him as a person. And I've trained with him, and like my whole thing was I did not want to let the fact that I like him cause me to lose the match. So I decided to be as mean and vicious as humanly possible. And I was a mean, bitter piece of shit the entire time. Like, it was awful. And then
I know. Yeah. How do you OT leg lock?
No, I triangled him.
Oh, fuck yeah. Oh, excuse me.
Uncensored.
Yeah, dude. Well done. How did you? Because dude, I'll be honest. He's not like the first time I trained with him. I was hot and I kind of smashed him. But then after that, we had really competitive matches.
So
the last.
I think that they were all expecting me to play that loopy kind of like
Burt Reynolds guard.
Yeah, exactly. Like they were expecting that, and I kind of came out. And initially, I was going to do that, but then I was like, no. If I do this, he's got a chance against me. And if this goes to overtime, he's got a really good overtime game. He's got a fantastic back game. So at a certain point, I got him onto his butt, and then I passed his guard, and from there, I just tortured him. Like I got to top, I got to mount, and I have a very heavy mount. And like once I was there, it was just I just tired him out, and then I put a triangle on him from mount. But what I do is I do a no arm triangle. And I missed it. Like I missed the triangle and he got out. But by that point, he was, I don't know if he was enraged or a little bit disoriented, but he kind of like dove in. And as soon as he dove in, I snagged a proper triangle.
Nice. Well done, Emil.
So, I mean, but the point, the reason I bring that up is just, I don't normally like to try to impose my will on my opponent. Because I feel like when I'm trying to impose my will, especially in a submission-only setting, is when I wind up getting caught.
That is what happened with me and Taza. For that like brief moment there, I remember thinking right before I got finished that, man, I've been on the defense this entire match. I want to have a little bit of offense. And I charged in on a stupid guillotine, got on bottom, and then like 7 seconds later, he did that Eric Paulson guard thing to me, ended up heel hooking me. Irritating. But, so, c'est la vie.
I mean, Taza's good, but I feel like your game is an interesting one for somebody like Taza. I think it's you almost have to change your approach in order to beat somebody like him.
Yeah, you can't just go for the kill. I should have forced TRT. I mean, there were other ways of going about it, but yeah, definitely trying to flying submission somebody like that or like charging after them is not the right way to take out a technician.
I think a Darce choke would have worked on him.
Really?
I think you could have Darced him.
From what position? Oh, from half guard?
Yeah.
Because
he accepts that half guard very readily. Like he wants to play that half guard, and then he gets to like that half butterfly, and then he gets to like kind of like a reverse X, and then he gets his honey hole entry, right? And I think that like, for example, a former opponent of yours, Max Roskopf.
Yeah.
He did that to Ethan Krellinston.
Oh, wow. Did he submit him?
He fucking slept him, bro. He slept Krellinston. Like, he put him to sleep. Yeah.
When did this happen?
Shugyo, like last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was funny. I rolled with Roskopf. You two are mirrors of each other. You're basically the same person. I'm serious.
Yeah.
You guys are the same fucking person. Like,
I think
what's that?
I think we might have met at a wrestling camp too. I'm probably wrong about that. I probably was thinking about somebody else, but yeah, I think does he train in Nevada and Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might have met him at a wrestling camp, possibly. But yeah, it was a solid match. I don't know what the heck was in me to get out of that choke, but it was probably just physically just enough blood to keep me conscious, and then I got out. And man, it was a funny feeling because like once I got out of that, I could just tell. Like, dude, he put so much into trying to finish that. He absolutely knew he had it. And he probably did. I don't know what happened. Somehow I got out. So, but yeah.
When I rolled with him, he said that he tried to adjust it on you, and that adjustment was what fucked him up.
Oh, okay.
He said that if he just kept the position and just waited, that he thinks he could have gotten you. But who knows? If was a split, we'd all be high. Yeah, no, it's funny. He's also from Ohio.
Really?
Yeah, he's from like the sticks down south a little bit, and he was up here a few months ago, and I get a message from a mutual friend of ours, and he's like, "Hey, if you want to train with Max Roskopf, he's in town." And I'm like, "I do, but you guys are 2 hours away from me, so no, I don't. Sorry."
Yeah.
And then he was up in Cleveland, like teaching a class at a local Zenith affiliate. About 45 minutes from my house, and I was like, "That I can do." But yeah,
Nice, man.
no, the reason I bring that up is just it's interesting to see how styles match up, and I think that your style is very troublesome for people that want to play the position before submission game, because you are so insistent upon position. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I mean, that's been trained into me from day one with wrestling. And then, the school I trained at was very much IBJJF for me at Easton's, very much IBJJF focused. And, the idea to seek the position first is what I've always, been instilled to go for. IBJJF was where I cut my teeth, and I've always been focused on getting to the position, holding it, and then trying to get the submission from either the mount or the back.
Gotcha. Do you think that the wrestling meta is going to be like the next big thing in the sport?
I'm not entirely sure. What's up?
I think that's my weed that you're doing right here.
Oh, okay, yeah. Here you go. Sorry, just made a mistake with my roommate. Like, how much is wrestling going to change in the meta? I don't know. I think it's going to be more leg locks. I don't think jiu-jitsu guys are ever going to focus that hard on their wrestling. I mean, that might be a big area of change. I mean, I guess a lot of that depends on what the top guys end up focusing in on. I know Blackland did a lot of focus on his wrestling, but I always think especially the ADCC no-gi rules, like you can always just sit to the bottom in those first 5 minutes and
stay there.
Yeah, you can easily avoid the wrestling.
I don't understand why more people don't turn it into into that sort of a battle. Like, I feel like wrestling is hard, and if you're in a 16-man tournament and you're trying to win that 16-man tournament, every match that you insist on wrestling in is a match that you're spending energy. Now, I know, like, for you, you've got an unlimited fucking reservoir of energy. So, like, you can just do that. But there are some guys that don't have an unlimited reservoir. I don't understand why those guys don't just not wrestle.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big argument against that, especially ADCCs, would be that once you do pull guard, I don't think many sweeps happen. I don't think there are many even single legs that happen from the bottom. And I think outside of Lackland, Giles, for performance in the absolutes, I don't know how many leg lock finishes there were. Basically, the argument is that, well, and that, I kind of take that back. That probably wrestling will be the next big thing in most of the weight classes. I mean, JT's definitely, Augusto's absolutely, with Matthias. I mean, Matthias won because of his wrestling, right? Yeah. And then 99. Oh my gosh, who won 99? Oh yeah, of course, Gordon. Jeez, yeah, he fought the Tractor. Yeah, not so much with wrestling, but still, I mean, he beat Bo in a match, so he's got some wrestling there. And then Kynan. So yeah, probably we'll see that whoever's got the best wrestling in the years to come is probably going to be the one that's most successful. That's a very good point, Emil.
I don't know. I mean, it's not my point. It's one thing I've been doing every time I have somebody that's really an active, avid competitor on. I ask them about what they think the next meta is going to be. Like, I have kind of my stock questions that I think it's interesting to kind of get a feel for what everybody's thinking. We've got the leg lock game. I got somebody else in the comment here, Antonio Fidelis Jr., saying that he also thinks that the leg lock game is going to be a big one. But here's my my gripe or disagreement with that. I think that leg locks are not as dominant as they were 3 years ago.
Well, because more people such as myself are beginning to understand the ins and outs of it. And the reason I've been caught in leg locks before would have more to do with the knowledge gap than necessarily, in terms of what could be solved. It's not like I made a mistake, lost. I did make a mistake, but it wasn't like I lost a tremendously disadvantageous position. And then from there, things got bad. Yeah, it was definitely. That's actually probably a good point.
You didn't recognize the positions. Like I was watching, I watched your match against Ian Murray where he hit an inside heel. And like the reality was that like you didn't even recognize the positional transition until it was already done.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that happens. And like I think that once you start learning how to deal with that, all of a sudden the leg locks become less relevant. And if you're going against somebody else that has a similar understanding of it, their chances of finishing you or of you finishing them with a leg lock are lower.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that especially if people lack knowledge in them, as I clearly do, that now more than ever they need to be committing resources to just get up to par with the curve. And then from there, probably would make more sense to focus in on the wrestling. I definitely would say if I had known my opponent ADCCs ahead of time, I would have put twice or three times as many resources into wrestling rather than passing and guard play like I did. So.
Who'd you go against?
Oh, DJ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it should have just been wrestling, man. Should have just been 7 weeks of wrestling. 7 months. But whatever, man, learn from the experience and, just keep training, learn to get better. And, definitely wrestling is something that I need to be focusing in on intensely, which is now I haven't been thinking about training at all, Neil. I'm glad you bring that up because definitely need to be sending some text messages. Yeah.
Dude, I don't even like, it's funny because I've got so many elite wrestlers to choose from as training partners. But I'm so bad at actually being disciplined and actually doing it. Like, it's so crazy. So when you were wrestling in college, you wrestled in college?
Yes, sir. 3 years.
Did you ever win anything, or were you just like a college wrestler?
I was an All-American in 2011. I got fourth place NCWA in 2011. Yeah. So did have one thing. And then the year after I lost in the blood round, so I could have technically gotten like 10th or 11th, but they don't do that.
What division?
It's below club level.
Okay.
NCWA is what it was called. But I mean, dude, every division you're at, man, there are always a few people that take it too seriously. And that year a bunch of people took it too seriously. But it was a lot of fun. I love doing it, man. It definitely led to a lot of personal growth and was it's definitely a centerpiece of my time at CU Boulder. So definitely appreciated the fact that I was able to do that and definitely took a lot away from my time with, my coach there, Steve Bunch, and the rest of the team at Colorado. We were a small group, but, we did some good things and I was grateful for the time I got spent with those folks. Yeah.
So you had some jiu-jitsu experience, then you went to wrestling, right?
A little bit of jiu-jitsu experience. I got some beat up a few times, learned like an arm bar, a rear naked choke, and then finished wrestling, then went to college, then dabbled a little bit in jiu-jitsu. And then the summer in between my freshman year and sophomore year, I really committed to jiu-jitsu. And from then on, I was pretty much focused on grappling from there till now, except for about a year and a half where I had a knee injury in 2012 until about early mid 2013. So pretty like mid 2012 to about early mid 2013. I was out with a knee injury, but apart from that, full bore grappling pretty much the entire time.
When you started when you started wrestling, was there any aspect of how you wrestled as a wrestler that was informed or influenced by your experience on the jiu-jitsu side?
Oh, absolutely. I was fighting the top ranked, the top seed in nationals in wrestling the year that I won it. And he actually put me to my back and had me pinned in like mount position in jiu-jitsu. And I actually hit a buck and roll, put him to his back, and I pinned him. So say that again.
You pinned him from inside of his guard?
Yeah, in wrestling we call it a Saturday night. That's what we call it. Yeah. and that's actually it's a really good position to pin somebody actually, because it's very difficult to turn your shoulders if I'm driving in. So like one of the best positions in jiu-jitsu is suicidal in folk style wrestling. So yeah, that was a funny little moment. Yeah, actually, like my jiu-jitsu, very fun. That's actually something I like talking about. I never had very good takedowns. I was good on the ground in wrestling, and I was good at like switches on the feet was something I was real good at. So I'd like people to shoot on me and I hit a switch, and that was what I was fairly good at. Wrestling wasn't all that great, but yeah, it was kind of jiu-jitsu gave me the ability to become, an All-American wrestler. So
Funny,
pretty cool. Yeah, buck and roll, baby. It's important.
It's funny because like we, where I train, we got some really high level wrestlers that are doing jiu-jitsu now. And there's one guy that trains with us, named Kobe Fair. Kobe is a phenom wrestler, and he just so happens to be really fucking good at crab ride.
Yeah.
And like that's his whole thing. Like he does crab ride. And he does this in wrestling, and I've seen him doing it in jiu-jitsu, and I'm like, holy shit, he's doing crab ride. That's crazy.
It's a great way to get control their torso, which I've been playing a little bit with it too. But I definitely didn't probably if there was one thing I've learned in jiu-jitsu that I'd like to bring back to high school wrestling me is don't grab here, grab here. Like that would have, if there's any one detail that I would have liked to have changed. I learned it's like Dan or talking. You want to grab the end of the lever arm and pin from there. That is something I wish I'd known. Yeah. Anything if you could take a piece of information and give it to yourself like 5, 7, 10, whatever you want. I mean, dude, you've trained since '99. What would that piece of information be?
I would have liked for myself to have taken it more seriously back then. I mean, I've taken literally years off in between. Like, I trained '99 till about 2002. I was doing Gracie Jiu-Jitsu like twice a month, 3 times a month.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
yeah. I was doing striking. I was focusing on striking, but like we had guys that were training with us that were Gracie Jiu-Jitsu guys.
Uh-huh.
And so they'd be like, all right, now we're doing some grappling today. It's like, all right, cool. And they'd show us grappling, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. They were Helsing Gracie guys.
Cool, man.
And then, so 99 to 02 trained sporadically. 02 till like 04, I just didn't train. 04 till or 05 actually, till like 2007, I was probably training jiu-jitsu twice a month, 3 times a month, like once every other week, once a week, depending.
Mm-hmm.
But like my training was not learning technique. I was just going in and rolling. Like I'd show up when they'd have technique. I'd show up late and then I just roll. It was like an open mat every day. It was the blind leading the blind too. What's funny is like a bunch of those guys are now black belts. Like a bunch of the guys that like I trained with back in college are black belts and good black belts. Like decent, one of the guys I think won Pans at purple, at adult purple.
Oh, wow.
I'm just like, it's funny because like I went to Binghamton University, which is this relatively small school in upstate New York. I think it's got like 13,000 students. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of guys that went there that are fairly well known in jiu-jitsu. Like, you know who Aaron Harris is?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Aaron Harris is a Binghamton alum. Dr. Kickass on Instagram. He does all those I had him on the podcast last week. He does like diagrams of how submissions break people. You've seen them. I guarantee you've seen them. Leg Locker shares this shit all the time.
Let's see.
Dr._Kickass. You've seen his shit. Like whether or not you realize that you've seen it. And like there's a couple others, but the point is that we did have a decent but I never took it seriously.
Yeah, well, I mean like specific piece of technical information. And yeah, and then I'd hate to interrupt. A buddy of mine just texted me. Were you hoping to do an hour and a half, 2 hours?
I mean, as long as you want, man. Do you need to go?
No. I just want to continue. That's my buddy here was supposed to show up to my place at I think 5 p.m. And 3 hours later, he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm about to be here in 5 minutes." But no. Can we keep going like 15, 20 minutes? Would that work for you?
That's fine. That's fine. That's
Okay.
fine. There's no time limit or time constraint on these. I've had the shortest one I've done has gone 45 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then the longest one I've done, I did a couple that went 2 hours.
Oh,
So
nice. Well, dude, I definitely appreciate just getting the chance to like practice like the interview skills, man. This crap's a muscle, and I'm definitely out of it, man. I mean, dude, just look at myself. I mean, I've been working, but I need a barber like a man on an island needs water. God.
I mean, your hair looks pretty okay. My hair's a fucking mess.
Do we both have the same cowlick on this side? We have the same cowlick. Yeah. You see that? Yeah.
So I mean, my whole thing with this, honestly, like I saw Josh doing his,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, you know what? That's actually a really cool idea because everybody's stuck at home. Everybody's going through all this negativity, looking at their fucking social media, losing their mind. It's tough, man. It's really fucking tough right now. And so I was like, you know what? I've done a lot of really cool interviews as a writer for Jiu-Jitsu Time. So I've got a lot of people's names in my Rolodex that I can reach out to and do this sort of video with. And then on top of that, there's guys like you that I've never actually interviewed, but that I've always kind of thought it would be kind of cool to get you in on something or to, report on you, because I like you. I think you're a good dude.
Yeah,
so
I wouldn't mind doing this outside of the podcast setting.
What's that?
Oh, I just wouldn't mind, doing this a little bit outside of the podcast setting, get your feel on what's going on right now. I'm actually like not things I want to get too into, but definitely thinking of changing gears here a little bit. But and to hear what you have to say on that front as individual with some experience in this world. But
sure, man.
Definitely great for the opportunity to talk.
Anything, but yeah. So like the point is, I was looking for something I could do positive, something positive I could put back out into the world. And I reached out to like a bunch of guys I've interviewed. And I got some cool responses, man. Like last week I had Matt Heafy, who literally just put out an album that's like #1 on iTunes right now.
Oh, wow.
Like that. It was cool to like be able to chat with him. Or like yesterday I had Herman Lee from Dragon Force on.
Dude, I've been listening to The Fire and the Flames recently. Love that song.
Yeah, he was on last night, man. You got to watch it. It was a great episode.
Really?
He's a blue belt under Roger Gracie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. He's a mega fan of MMA. He's just a super cool dude. So like I've had all these people I've interviewed over the years, and I was like, hey guy, will you come on this stupid little podcast I'm doing? And they're like, yeah, of course. And it's great because like people are tuning in and they're having a good time watching, and it's an hour that they're not thinking about their impending doom or their business collapsing.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, that I've tried to do that exercise and just kind of for a moment, I try to meditate 5 minutes before I sleep every night and just kind of like stretch my mind out and just kind of imagine all the suffering and sorrow that everybody's going through. And it's just too overwhelming, man. I can't even fucking there I go again. But probably in this situation, it's worthy, but it's just so hard to just imagine it because it's every every person. I think there's like 3% of people haven't really been affected by this. And then internationally, it's affected everybody. I mean, it's just such a insane magnitude. It's great to give people the ability just to talk some crap and focus about on jiu-jitsu for a little bit as the world burns down around us. Hopefully.
It's such a depressing situation, and like, so I've been putting together these kind of like diverse lineups. Like I try to have one elite competitor on per week, and then I try to have like one legend of the sport on per week, and then I'm having like musicians come on that I have access to, or there's all sorts of like different people that I can reach out to and be like, hey, come on, this it'll be fun. The response has been great, man. It's been really wonderful. Like I think I just counted up. I've had between the videos I've done 22 videos. I've had 47,000 views.
Woo, bro! Good job.
You know, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
The reach is about 100,000. It's not bad. Like, I'm pretty happy because, like, I know that means that there's people seeing it and there's people enjoying it because I'm not putting it out for myself. I'm not putting it out for my benefit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, right now, this is the time when people want to consume content, right?
Exactly.
Not much all else to do out there. But sit at your computer, and that's why I'm so grateful. I actually got something to get me out of this seat because I shouldn't just sit here for 16 hours a day and then sleep over there and then back here over there, here, which a lot of people, that's what they're doing right now. The government told them to do that, and they're losing their minds. My heart goes out to everybody that's suffering, which is all of us. So,
yeah, it is. It is what it is. So, are there any goals that you have once this all settles?
Definitely the goals that I had before this have changed a lot.
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest. I don't perceive pursuing an academy as a wise business venture for the next 2 to 3 years. I am wondering how you feel on that front. So I think, just kind of changing course a little bit, still want to do jujitsu every day, but, start to do other things to make money besides just trying to make it with jujitsu, which was my goal before all this. But now I just perceive that it's going to be a very different environment, even when everything starts to get back a little bit close to normal. I, just want to be prepared for when something like this happens again, man. I don't want to be caught off guard.
I think that if having an academy is something that still appeals to you, I think that now is actually a unique opportunity. And I'll tell you why I think that. I think that what we might see happen is there's going to be areas that have a bunch of their academies close. And if a young John Combs comes in and opens an academy, that young John Combs might have a lot of homeless existing jiu-jitsu students to choose from.
That is quite a good idea. You're talking about being an organism that can survive trauma and come back stronger than the rest and dominate the field. Is that kind of what you're saying? And that's actually a great idea. I hadn't really thought of that.
You're not even surviving the trauma because you don't have an academy right now.
Oh no, like I said, dude, I'm honestly in that. I know people that are hurting, but after the past 2 weeks, man, I'm doing as good as I've been doing for a while, which is not what people want to be hearing. My heart goes out to everybody, but things are going okay for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, grateful. But yeah, man, hopefully we can all do things to help get jiu-jitsu back to normal. But I hadn't even thought about that. That's very true. There are a lot of students out there that are going to be looking for somebody to lead them. And
that's all I'm saying. I mean, I don't know how and when and what the right timing is. I'm in a unique situation that I teach a program. I have a program that I teach, but I don't really have any skin in the game. So I'm not really stressed over it. And I have my own, I have my own job, and my job is doing well right now. So I'm okay. But my heart goes out to people that their academies are closing, but the reality is that the students are going to be fucked when they want to come back to the mats unless there's somebody with mats with the skill set to teach and with the I don't know, the notoriety of being an ADCC veteran and not a bad competitor at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll see where it goes. Hopefully things come back stronger.
Do you think that a person has to compete in order to be able to be a good instructor? Or do you think that there's a substantial correlation between being a good competitor and being a good instructor? I know that not all competitors can teach and not all teachers can compete, but do you think that the instructor competitor is superior to the alternative?
I would say you cast the majority, at least 70% of people that do jiu-jitsu, I would argue, should at least actively try to compete, 2 to 3 times in their life in order just to make sure they get a taste of it. so that they can talk to students who want to compete, so that they have the ability to actually tell them from experience that, two-stripe white belt is like, hey, dude, I want to go to this, local tournament that's coming up. What's that going to be like? Your coach should be able to answer them like from experience what it's like. But beyond that, I think you compete to see where your holes are, and that can help you develop your jiu-jitsu at a faster rate than you would normally. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to learn the skills at a faster rate. Like, I was extraordinarily skilled in 2016. I couldn't have shown you any type of control from the back. I could show you 2 or 3 passes. I could not have showed you any guard work. I didn't know what I was doing with the front headlock. Like, definitely a lot of mental growth had to take place.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you said earlier about like kind of having these areas of brilliance that I wouldn't say rely on, but that you use as a competitor. Do you think that there's something to the idea of like, fear not the man who has done 10,000 punches once, but fear the man that's done one punch 10,000 times?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's shown a little bit, especially my, more recent matches. I think I've had close to 100 matches at black belt on the pro level, now. So I've like finally accrued some experience, and, I do think that's such a huge part of it, and why you see the guys at the top doing so well. I mean, they're competing as often as they can. They train hard with the same group of guys every day. They're putting in that hard work, man. And it's, sharpening that sword, once every day with the right people. It's all you really got to do if you're doing it every day, man. And there are people that are doing it, and that's where I would like to get to, dude.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing. Of your 49 wins, 78% are by submission.
Thanks, bro. I do go for the kill.
I think I said that earlier. Like, I think that because most guys that you're going to compete against are points players.
Yeah, statistically, yeah. Looking at that, it's mostly points.
Most guys you're going to play against are points players, and like if you look at like your losses, you're pretty much half and half by points and by submission.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like, a handful by like EBIOT or by decision or whatever. But like, dude, your guillotine is nasty.
50%, baby. If you put the arm in and the guillotine finish together, it's just about 50% of my submission wins. So
it's precisely 50%.
Ooh, great. Quick maths there, buddy.
18 plus 32, bro. 18 plus 32. Because you got 49 wins. Mm-hmm. 18 plus 32. Sorry, 7 plus 12 is going to be 19.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make any sense. Those numbers don't add up.
No, they don't.
Because we're looking at 49 wins. 18 is half. 19 is half of 38 because you have 38.
Ah, yes. Mm-hmm.
I was being dumb. Yeah, so exactly half of your submission wins are by guillotine.
Yes.
So, are you content to win on points?
Content's there's such a large spectrum in that word, right? Content is not the right word for it. I definitely do not like what I would say. If there's anything I find extremely distasteful is when people overreact to an advantage victory or a referee's decision. I mean, if you're in a compelling match, actively trying to submit the person, going full bore, giving it everything you got to go for the finish, and you win 3-2, and it's this exciting, beautiful, brilliant match, that's amazing jiu-jitsu, and I love it. But if you're just holding on to some 4-0 win, holding on to somebody from Mount, I don't necessarily know how I feel about that, but definitely would say I am trying to go for the kill at almost all times, and sometimes that gets me in trouble. Definitely got me in trouble against Taza, and I definitely would say I need forces to kind of draw in that desire to go for the finish and just kind of chill out, because I've definitely had situations. One great one was at Pan Am's in 2015. I actually have trained with this guy. He's a Gracie Barra guy, Jorgens, and I was winning 33-0. and 7-0 advantages. And I had mount, and I was still trying to submit this guy. I was still going for it. It's 33-0, 7-0. I'm still going for it. And he has, you and him should train, Emil. He has the weirdest game I've ever seen in my life. I've never experienced a game that is as unusual as this guy. He uses his toe, this right here. He uses it as like to grab the lapel, and he can push with worm guard. So like he pushes instead of just pulling with. It is one of the craziest things I've ever experienced, and all of his game is ridiculous. Like he really should do a BJJ Fanatics DVD on like the weird stuff that he does. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But so he in my activity to try and pursue him, he got a loop choke set up on me, and I almost went out. Like I was very close, purple face, gurgling. And luckily I turned the right way and got an armbar on him and finished him. But like, man, if I had gotten submitted 33-0, 7-0 in the quarterfinals, the round before I would have gotten that medal. Oh my God.
Yeah, but how amazing would that have been? How amazing of a story would that have been?
Yeah.
Honestly, if you'd gotten submitted because you were trying to fucking submit the guy,
that's what I was doing, baby.
I wouldn't look down on you for that.
Yeah.
And anyone that would is a bad person.
I like your judge of character, Emil, and I love your jiu-jitsu especially. Looking forward to when we can train some heel hooks again, man. What do you think we're looking at this summer? You know, I suspect a return to normal, but I am very concerned about September and November. I'm also, there's so many things I'm concerned about. We probably shouldn't bring that up. We should keep cheerful on here. But outside of the political mess, economic nightmare, where do you think jiu-jitsu is going to find itself come like June 30th? American Nationals is what I'm talking about.
Dude, honestly, it all depends on whether or not the projections for this shit are right. And they've been wrong thus far. Everything has been wrong. Everything's been topsy-turvy.
Yeah, every day it changes. It's ridiculous. I stopped really paying attention about a week ago.
Yeah, it's a kind of like I stopped bothering. It's like, you know, it seems like it's almost like a weather forecast. You know, like here in Cleveland, they'll call for snow, but it'll be like 70 degrees or something.
Yeah, and unfortunately, they're forecasting a hurricane Category 5 on every state in the union, and people are reacting as such. And now, dude, there's so much pain, so much heartache, and the government needed to step in and do a lot of stuff. And dude, you can't even get unemployment. Dude, I filed for unemployment, but yeah, I got the job now, and I didn't receive any. But like, dude, if I needed that money, I wouldn't have been able to receive it. Like, I haven't heard anything back from him. And maybe it's, started up the job and that, throw me out of the system, whatever. But like, it's just spooky times, man. There are a lot of people that are becoming more desperate every day. And 80 million handguns in this country. Yeah,
it's our free 30-day trial of socialism.
Are you going to be out there helping us install the trial, Emil?
What?
Oh, what do you mean 30 days of socialism?
Oh, like yes. Okay, yes. I'll be helping you guys install it,
Yeah. Well, I'm curious to see where all this goes, man.
Honestly, I'm trying not to even speculate because it's so upsetting to think out. Like, it's so upsetting to, like, think about what's going to be next week or next month. Because, I had a really good stride leading up to this. Like, last time I was beaten in a professional match was against Leduc in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
He's the last one to beat me. 2018.
Wow.
January 2018 was the last pro match that I lost.
That is a heck of a streak. Well done, man.
I mean, I've lost matches. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've lost at local tournaments. I've even been subbed at like local tournaments and stuff. But as far as like pro matches, when I got money to win, I haven't been beaten since 2018. Like I go into those local matches like I do like an open match. Like I'm just there to fuck around and learn. And I actually think that like losing at those matches and at that level has actually been beneficial to my game.
Oh yeah, no, I think losses lead to more growth than any victories do, man.
So what you do is you curate your losses. You make yourself lose or you allow yourself to lose in a setting where nobody fucking cares.
Yeah. And then you can continue to maximize your growth.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now losses are important, as you can see in that record, man. I have a lot of them, 49 and 40, something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's losses are important, man. Help
But
teach
you know what though? Like, I almost respect the competitor that, like, lives by the sword and dies by the sword more than the one that, like, cherry picks his opportunities. And you see a lot of these guys that are cherry picking. Like, one thing I see a lot is some really high level guys kind of sneering or mocking people that are trying to get matches with them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, why? Why don't you want? You should want to find your fucking ends. You should want to meet your match. Like, if you're winning every match, if you're undefeated for a long time, that means that you're not competing against a high enough caliber of opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to challenge yourself.
So, like, you're like, you pick up a loss against a guy like Lucas Lepre. Yeah, you lost to Lucas Lepre. Yeah, you fucking kicked your ass. Yeah, it's Lucas. Like, what do you expect? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But the fact that you, like, went out there and went after him.
Yeah.
Like, you lost to Cyborg. Shit, dude. Like, that's not a loss. That's a win. Yeah, you might not have gotten your hand raised at the end of the match, but, like, ultimately speaking, what that did for your brain.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
All right, so we're nearing the hour and a half mark. I'm sure your buddy's almost there if he's not already there.
He is atrocious time management, but yeah, I'm also I'm getting a little tired here, but dude, thank you so much for having me on, man. Like I said, if you ever want to just like reach out or like put me on the show again, man, I really want to start flexing my mental communication muscles, which are definitely, that was the thing that was great about all the travel. Like, I spent so much time talking to new people, and my time 2019 in Colorado was very much spent a lot of time alone, and trying to make sure I don't fall into that. So and that's what all of us are doing right now, spending time alone. So yeah, I would like to, as I was saying, there are other things I'd like to discuss in private, but yeah, definitely. Thank you very much for having me on. I'll be looking forward to catch more of this is baking cookies and taking limbs.
Indeed. So I'm going to go ahead and run through my upcoming schedule for anybody watching still that might be interested, because there is a schedule for this thing. Tomorrow evening, 5:30 p.m., I have Andy Rovat. He wrestled in the 2008 Olympics. Then Friday evening, I think it's 6:30 p.m., I have Mr. Jiu-Jitsu. Saturday at noon, I have Joe Bays, who is, for anybody that doesn't know, a legendary leg locker. Sunday, what's that?
What time is Joe Bays? I'd like to hear you talk to Joe Bays. What time are you talking to him?
Noon.
On Saturday?
Yeah, noon Eastern. That, for your time, that's 10 a.m.
Oh boy, I get up early. So 10 a.m. Mountain on Saturday, right?
Yep.
Then I can just go to your Facebook to find this, right?
Yeah, I'll be posting it everywhere.
Cool. I'm curious what you two are going to say about leg locks.
I'm going to tell them if they don't work. Then Sunday at Sunday at 2 p.m. I have Eric Paulson.
Wow, dude, got...
Might be noon, actually. Might be noon. I got to double check. Sunday, I got Eric Paulson. Monday, I got LeDuc. Tuesday, I've got Ulysses Bella. He is a multi-instrumentalist, Grammy-winning musician. He plays with a band called Ozomatli. If you don't know who Ozomatli is, you better fucking look them up, because they're awesome. Then Wednesday is still TBD. Thursday next week, I got Nikki Sullivan. Friday, I got Lance King. He owns a record label, is a Muay Thai coach at the Academy of Mixed Martial Arts in Minnesota, and is one of the best progressive metal singers in the world. So that is the schedule as of right now. So I'm going to go ahead.
Packed, man. That sounds great, dude.
I'm going to go ahead and end the live feed. If you want to stick around and talk about what you wanted to talk about, I can hang out with you for a minute. Just going to go ahead and end. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Tune in tomorrow for another episode of the BCTL podcast. Good night. On.